Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today I have a surprise review for all of you. This is the new Transformers War for Cybertron Trilogy Decepticon Hotlink. For anybody not in the know, this new kind of subline of the War for Cybertron series is meant to coincide with the Netflix series that's coming out in May. They are a Walmart exclusive here in the States, and they first went up for pre-order online, and then all those pre-orders got pushed back to either May or June. I've heard different reports here and there, and that included mine, of course. And then, as luck would have it, I was out picking up some odds and ends for things that my other grocery store was out of stock on. I found the whole assortment so far, minus the Ultra Magnus, which I'm not sure if that's actually going to show up in stores or not. Well, both Voyagers, all the Deluxes, really lucked out. So I'm very happy to bring you this new review. I want to start with Hotlink because he's one of the few new characters and probably the one that I'm most excited to pick up. Hotlink, for the uninitiated, is a Seeker who appeared in the original Generation 1 cartoon but went unnamed for a very long time until he was officially given a name by the Transformers Collectors Club and placed in a group of Seekers called the Welcoming Committee. Not to be confused with the Rainmakers, who got their own 3-pack in Siege. So he's the first of the Welcoming Committee to be put out in the War for Cybertron series, hopefully not the last. And he sports his own color scheme, which is, though similar to Skywarp's, distinct in its color layout and shades. He also comes with 2 new Battle Masters that are just simple read echoes of an existing mold, but they are new characters. So before I get into it, if you've seen my reviews before, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at the toy and its packaging, open it up, see the instructions, then see the figures themselves in their different modes, whether it's weapon, vehicle, robot. I'll be doing some group shots, comparisons, because there's a lot to unpack here. And then at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. So Hotlink and his 2 buddies are displayed very prominently on this front window. And you can see pretty much all of them. Very little cutoff. I believe these are new Fire Blast effects. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think these are new. On the side, you have this nice artwork of Hotlink that's pretty close up, and it's done in more of a high contrast style than the normal Siege toys were. Got the big Decepticon logo there. On the back, you have the renders of Hotlink, which make his colors look very different from how they do on the actual toy. You got his 2 Battle Masters here, Heatstroke and Heartburn, and they're both very simple read echoes of the blowpipe mold. And in fact, the only difference between them, I think, is the color of their visor. One's like orange, one's yellow, and that's about it. So very minimal effort put into these. But they're new characters, so that's cool, I guess. Each one of them takes 5 steps to transform. Hotlink himself takes 22. And one thing that's really great about him is he does have a very different paint layout than all the other Seekers released in Siege, especially the battle damage. One of the things that bugged me about all the other Seekers is that even though their colorations were all different, the paint mask used for their battle damage was identical across all of them. So they always had the same marks in the same places, and it was a little cheap. So luckily, this guy, like all of the Netflix branded Transformers series that have come out, has his own paint mask for battle damage, so very cool. You got his little city symbol here, looks like. I love the kind of minimalist, high contrast imagery of this packaging. I really like it. Oh, look at that. I actually haven't even noticed this till right now. So this is the usual Siege artwork that they've put on all the other figures, but it's done up in this like black and white and red coloration, which is really neat. And they got the Netflix stuff going on here. I like that. I mean, obviously, if I had to pick one, I'd choose the full color version, but this is neat. This is like almost like a comic collector variant type thing, so I'm really digging it. All right, here's the new instruction booklet. You can see it's a bit different from the usual Siege and Earthrise stuff. Got Hotlink up here, Heatstroke, Heartburn, and Heatstroke's the one with the orange visor. That's the way I remember it. And pretty short, honestly. I think it's just kind of blown up to be bigger. So you got one set of transformation instructions for the twins here, because they're the same mold. Shows you that he can wield them. Over here, this just shows you how to kind of reconfigure Hotlink once he's out of the box, because they have kind of modified him to fit in there better. And then you just got the same old Tetrajet Seeker transformation. So really nothing new to see here, except for, I guess, this render right there. All right, we're gonna take a look at our two Battle Masters first. This is Heatstroke, who has the orange visor, and then Heartburn, who has a yellow visor. And they are just, as far as their main bodies, they are just direct read echoes of the blowpipe mold. They do have a brand new fire blast effect though, which I find very interesting. You don't see that happen a whole lot with these abundant read echoes, so that is pretty cool. I like the colors on them. You know, it's something very different. It's a mix of like a turquoise and a very light blue, and I just kind of dig it. You know, it's a little plain looking, but I like the unique colors because you don't see this, you know, specific combination of them very much. As far as paint goes, they do have the Decepticon tampographs on the chest, and then their like upper chest area and face are painted silver. Their visors are either orange or yellow, and that's it for the paint. So pretty minimalist, but you know, kind of gets the job done there. Now, do I wish these guys had been done up in different colors, even been different molds? Yes. I think, you know, the idea of twins is cool, but, you know, being realistic, this was probably done for cost cutting. I mean, how cheap is it to just print 2 copies of the same figure and just paint its visor different colors? So, you know, they're okay. Like, you do get a good deal for this, right? Because you are getting a $30 Voyager and 2, you know, was it $7, $6 or $7 Battle Masters for $40. So you're shaving off a few dollars. Can't complain too much for, you know, the price. So here you have the full lineup of all the blowpipe molds. You got Blowpipe himself, who was then retooled into Aimless, who was redecoed into Shroot, or Hair Splitter. And then you have different retooling into Caliburst, who became Trenchfoot. And now you get him separately retooled into these two. So, you know, it's fair to say that these have seen an abundance of use. The only mold from Siege that's been used more times is the Seekers themselves. So you might as well call this the Redeco box set, because I mean, it's like celebrating, look how many times we made you guys buy the same mold over and over. So I wanted to show this because it really highlights just how heavily they leaned into the redecos and the retools in Siege. Now, I love Siege. It's a fantastic toy line. But, you know, I think a lot of people ignore just how many times over you had to buy the same mold for things. I mean, really, all of the gun-based Battle Masters came from either the blowpipe or the fire drive molds. That's it. 2 mold families for the whole line. And even beyond now, because we're actually past Siege. You know, this is like kind of a in-between Siege and Earthrise type deal. So if you're not big on buying redecos, this may not be for you, because the whole thing is redecos. The only new piece in the whole thing is, again, these fire blast effects, which are cool. You know, it's good to get at least something different. But you know, for all the criticism that people had for Combiner Wars, you know, they called it, you know, repaint wars and all that. I'd say Siege is a pretty close runner up there. All right, now on to the main course. We have Hotlink here. And you can see, same old Tetrajet design, but very different color layout. What you may not know is that the vast majority of this toy, I'd say probably 80 to 90% of it, is black plastic. You know, it may not be obvious just by looking at it, but yeah, most of this, aside from the, you know, obvious like clear orange here and there, and he's got clear red for his eyes, it's black. You know, the only exception beyond that is you can see like his heel spurs are purple plastic. He's got like some hinge pieces that are purple, and the rest of it is just very heavily coated in paint. So I think they did a fantastic job. I'd love to see like a test shot for this guy, just, you know, a version without the paint, just to see the stark contrast, because, you know, they really were able to do something very different on, about 3 whole paint colors. So very cool. He's also got these really interesting orange painted details here. Got there under the wings. And you got a little one, for some reason, right here on like the little top burners. So that's interesting. I'm not sure why they went with that, but I mean, I'll take it. Anything to set them apart from the others, right? So overall, I think he looks very cool in this mode. The whole color gradient thing, it just works very well for him. And now, because I had to do this, here's our entire current Seeker Squadron for the Tetrajet mold. Just so you can see all the different color variations and everything that they've done with it so far. And at this point, we're only missing, 2-3 Seekers to complete like the full Cybertronian Seeker cameo. So, if we end up getting like a Sunstorm, a Nacelle, Bitstream, we'll be done, I think. I'm gonna pretty much cover it, so. I don't know if it's going to happen since Siege itself is over now. There's a rumored 2-pack that might contain the rest of the Welcoming Committee, might not. Who knows? I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that. Now, I'm sure people are already getting kind of sick to death of this mold, as good as it is. But I'm sure we're so close to completing the set that I think a lot of people will just be willing to throw down the extra, whatever it's going to cost to finally finish it off, because with the exception of Classics, we've never really gotten this many variations of one mold like that for the Seekers, I mean. And Classics didn't even have Red Wing, so we'd be kind of one step beyond them if they actually complete this. We'll see how that goes. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and convert into robot mode now. Alright, and here's Hotlink in his robot mode. And this is where that color gradient effect really shines. Because you already saw like the black to purple, but now you have like a purple to a very light purple, almost a pinkish color. And it gives them almost like a holographic appearance. Like if you had an image with like holographic coloring and just took a still shot of it, it's pretty much be what it looks like. So overall, I gotta say I'm quite impressed. Here's that little orange design on the wings again. My copy does unfortunately have some paint spatter there on the leg, but very small amount, not enough to really bother me. He does use the same face as Skywarp, which is like the slightly grimacing version. You can see that. And I will happily report that he doesn't suffer from the same chest panel issue that Starscream and Skywarp have, where it tends to pop off during transformation. His is nice and tight, kind of like the Rainmakers and Thundercrackers. And otherwise, yeah, not a whole lot of new stuff to see, just the same old Tetrajet Seeker in some interesting new colors and color patterns. All of his tolerances are spot on, so you don't have to worry about mold degradation so far, which is really shocking. I mean, this thing's already seen 8 uses, and so far all the joints are doing great. In fact, some were even tighter than more recent releases like Skywarp or Thundercracker. So yeah, I don't know if it's just luck or if Hasbro and Takar are doing something to keep the molds up better, maybe refurbishing them every once in a while, who knows. But whatever is going on, it's working, because this guy's honestly got better QC than the first use of the mold, so can't complain there. Here's a shot of the 3 characters contained within this box set all together. So, one thing that kind of works in the favor of having 2 identical Battle Masters is that it looks pretty cool when they're both being wielded by the same guy. Would have been really neat if they did a little bit of retooling and maybe reverse the gun barrels on one of them so they could be more symmetrical, but I really wasn't expecting that, so just wishful thinking, I suppose. But they're interesting. Their colors contrast very heavily. Unlike Skywarp, where Shroot and Pterodactyl were pretty much the same colors as Skywarp, these guys are way different. And I think that really helps them stand out a lot more. Though I will say the orange used for their Fire Blast effects is very, very close to the orange used for his translucent parts, so I don't know if that's intentional or not, or just worked out that way. But overall, I think this is a very fun looking set. And I think giving him 2 Battle Masters as opposed to 3 like they did with Skywarp just is a better balance. You don't have just an overkill of weapons and accessories to the point where he doesn't really have somewhere to put all of them. And, you know, like I mentioned, he's a much better value than that pack was too. You're paying less than individual price for these were, as with Skywarp and really all of the Amazon box sets, you always end up paying a bit of an upcharge. And now, of course, we've got our second obligatory group shot. We get all 8 of our available Seekers ready to fight in the robot modes and looking like a little army starting to build, which is pretty cool. So now, having opened it all up and seen everything this set has to offer, you know, what do I think of this? Again, this is going to be one of the more anticipated products for the Netflix toys, I would think, just because it's a character we haven't received yet, at least not, you know, in the current generation's toy line. So that's going to play a big part into it. He's, you know, very different from the other Seekers despite being the exact same mold. Does come with 2 little bonus guys at a discount, so that's always nice. And, you know, you're going to get a lot of completionists out there that want to get this guy. So I think he's going to do pretty well. He's a good value for what you get. Now, if you're not somebody who's a total completionist and, you know, you have 1 or more of the other Seekers, you're not missing a whole lot by not picking this guy up. Especially since the Voyagers, unlike the Deluxes, don't come with like some little special bonus, you know. In the case of these toys, it's that Teletran 1 backdrop, which I think is a shame. I don't know why they didn't. I imagine he and Megatron could have each had 2 big pieces that made maybe like the Nemesis background, but they might also be saving that for a second wave. I can see them doing that, just like a purple recoloring of, you know, one for the first wave. So, I mean, you're not going to lose out on anything by not getting him, other than just, you know, a cool looking toy. So he's by no means a necessity for your collection. That being said, however, I would imagine most people that are interested in this toy are interested because they are, you know, a little more on the hardcore collecting side and probably want to complete the set. Or, I've seen a lot of people say this, you may be one of the collectors that missed out on the Skywarp pack because once it sold out, like that was it here in the US. Like Amazon never restocked it, unlike the Autobot counterpart to that. And I heard a lot of people saying they're going to buy this and, you know, just kind of headcanon it as their Skywarp. You know, if you want to do that, go for it. I know a lot of people like to buy figures and just kind of say, all right, this is a different character, or this is a character just made up. Whatever makes you happy, right? There are no rules to collecting. So yeah, I mean, I think this is a good purchase. You know, my kind of final judgment. Good purchase, good value, really cool looking toy. The Battle Masters, while they are identical to each other, are in, you know, some really nice looking colors. So it's a good thing to pick up, but it is far from necessary, which unfortunately I could probably say that about most of this line so far. So at the end, I mean, it's entirely up to you and your collecting needs and tastes. But of course, that is only my humble opinion on the matter. What I really want to know is what you all think of this toy. Do you think he's a must-buy? Are you going to pass on him? Is he your makeshift Skywarp because the first Skywarp was just unreasonably hard to find? I'd love to hear your guys' feedback in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a thumbs up. Let YouTube know that you do like this content. If you want to see more stuff like this or any of my other videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this look at a very rare and elusive Seeker character. And with that said, I will see you next time.